Hello, and welcome to a video that was supposed to come out a year ago. I'm really bad at this. Anyways, today we're covering one of my favorite games of all time, SCP Containment Breach, and this Iceberg made by Reddit user 𝘧𝘧𝘢𝘬𝘢. If you haven't played SCP Containment Breach, please do before watching this video. It's a great game, if not a big buggy, but it is one of a kind. And also, a lot of this won't really make sense if you haven't played the game, or don't play the game. Trust me, I watch Iceberg videos on things I've never heard of either. It's fine, I get it. But either way, without any further ado, let's get into this, shall we? 𝘰𝘧𝘧𝘢𝘀𝘀, better known as Regalis, is the creator of SCP Containment Breach. He started working on SCP Containment Breach after the positive reception of another game he made, SCP-087-B, which we'll talk about a bit later. He developed the game while still in high school and decided to pursue game development fully after Containment Breach's popularity. He now runs Undertow Games and has quit the Containment Breach team. Undertow Games has then made one game, Borrowed Trauma, a game where you're in a submarine that's also floating in space. A bit of an out there concept, but it looks pretty fun. Haven't played it myself yet though. SCP Unity is a now dead remake of SCP Containment Breach on the Unity engine. It was developed by RE Gaming Studios, and it was a very basic premise of remaking Containment Breach on the Unity engine while keeping the same gameplay and feeling. Unfortunately, in early 2021 the project was cancelled due to health reasons. 𝘰𝘰𝘮𝘀 is a YouTuber who creates songs about various things in the SCP universe, like specific SCPs or groups. He uploaded his first song about SCP-173 on June 19, 2012 and is still uploading to this day. His most viewed video is about the 𝘦𝘷𝘓𝑗𝑗 unit from Containment Breach and has gained over 7 million views. And this song is honestly pretty goddamn good.
Oh my god, a mobile task force squad that no one stops. It is the 𝘦𝘷𝘓𝑗𝗄.
Unfortunately, Glenn would inform his audience that he was diagnosed with a type of blood cancer. This update video is now deleted and I don't think archived. Oh, I do know that after this video was made public, a GoFundMe page was set up for him by his fans. This GoFundMe page was also not archived, so I can't see how much was donated, but I do hope there was some money at least being thrown his way. Anyways, Glenn's cancer seems to be hopefully at least at a stable state, since he's still uploading to this day. 𝘰𝘰𝘮𝑗 is an old game engine and is what Regalis chose to make Containment Breach on. Regalis stated that he chose 𝘰𝘰𝘮 just because he had former knowledge in the engine and was too lazy to learn any new language. From what I can tell, there aren't a lot of commercial products made with 𝘰𝘰𝘮, but I do see some indie devs still choosing it for their own little projects, so seems like a good engine. Third Subdivision Studios is a game studio that helped Regalis with the creation of SCP Containment Breach. Nowadays they're working on a Containment Breach mod titled SCP 𝘦𝘷𝘓𝑗𝗄, where you play as the 𝘦𝘷𝘓𝑗𝗄 unit and are tasked with killing D-Class and recontaining all the SCPs. I've played it myself and it's honestly pretty fun, I'd recommend it. A memory access violation is an error that happens when a program tries to access a memory location that doesn't exist, or one that the program does not have access to, well, access. This usually leads to a crash. These can happen with a Containment Breach if you're unlucky, and I did find a lot of forum posts of people complaining about them. But there is another type of memory access violation in Containment Breach. Kinda. In the game, if you spam the button of any elevator, the game will output a few messages to mess with you. Some are normal, like stop spamming the button, but one message you can get is if you continue pressing this button, I will generate a memory access violation. This is pretty spooky, but it is an empty threat. The game will never give you an access violation just from spamming the button. Blue Feather is a song by Kevin MacLeod that was edited by 𝘰𝘰𝘮𝑗 for Containment Breach. The song plays at the start of the game as the player wakes up and is escorted to SCP-173's containment chamber. The song also plays when picking up a coin in SCP-1162's containment chamber. It is a bit weird having a full entry for just one song, but I couldn't find anything more relevant to it, so I'm assuming that's the whole story. The Chaos Insurgency is originally a Black Ops unit created by the Foundation to carry out some unethical missions. They eventually rebelled against the Foundation and started directly attacking them, killing personnel and taking SCPs for themselves. Their goal seems to acquire SCPs for themselves for some sort of gain and just attacking the Foundation in general. In Containment Breach, the Chaos Insurgency planned the whole Containment Breach, we'll get to that later, and they also appear in one of the endings to the game. Speaking of, SCP Containment Breach has 4 endings split between the 2 different gates in the game. We'll cover the Gate B endings first, as those are often considered the bad endings. Gate B ending 1 triggers if you did not disable the warheads in the nuclear silo and made your way to Gate B. You'll make it outside via an elevator, but will start getting shot at by a guard on top of this wall/gate. You can just run past him and dodge his bullets, and eventually you will find yourself in this control room. In this control room, there is a single door that requires a code to open, and you don't know the code. Eventually, an intercom announces that the facility will be nuked in order to try and stop SCP-682's rampage, as he's currently essentially destroying the facility. The SCP Foundation sets off the nuke and you die in the blast. Gate B ending 2 triggers if you did disable the warheads in the nuclear silo. The same stuff happens where you reach the control room, but this time the intercom announces that they're gonna set off the nuke, and then after a while they announce that they could not set off the nuke for some reason. After this, an MTF squad comes through the previously locked door and shoots you instantly. The Gate A endings are usually dubbed the good endings since you don't just die in them. Gate A ending 1 triggers if you did not recontain SCP-106 and made your way to Gate A. You will see an MTF unit busy fighting and trying to capture SCP-106, and you can just slip past as they're preoccupied. You'll find a tunnel, and after running into it, the Chaos Insurgency will appear and capture you. Gate A ending 2 triggers if you do recontain SCP-106. The MTF unit that was previously fighting 106 will this time capture you, but not kill you, and they will deliver you to the Foundation for questioning. So, which one is the real or canon ending? Whatever you want, I guess, doesn't really matter. SCP-𝘰𝘯𝘓-B is a game made by Regalis before Containment Breach. He was inspired to make it after playing the original SCP-𝘰𝘯𝘓-7 game by 𝘠𝘪𝘂. The game had you explore claustrophobic corridors in darkness, just kind of looking around finding spooky stuff. The game was positively received, and Regalis decided to make a bigger SCP game after that. I'm sure you can guess what came out of that. SCP-1048 is a small little teddy bear that pretty much acts like a child. He is an Easter egg character in Containment Breach, and you can spot him in a few locations. First of all, in the checkpoint areas where you pass from one containment zone to another. You can sometimes be spotted dancing on the desk past this window. The other place you can spot him is in the heavy containment zone. Sometimes you can see him drawing something with a pen and paper. He will then give you this drawing, and they usually depict you in some sort of situation where you're pretty much about to die. After closing the drawing, the teddy bear has disappeared. There is also SCP-1048-A, which is a teddy bear covered in ears that will scream at you. And this scream causes you to generate ears around your entire body, usually leading to your death via suffocation because your lungs are full of ears. There are dead bodies in the SCP facility. SCP-714 is a green jade ring that can change size to fit anyone's finger, but it has a few more special effects too. In Containment Breach, you can find it in the storage chamber in light containment. After wearing it, your sprint bar will reduce to practically nothing. You can take this ring off though, the effect is not permanent. The cool thing about SCP-714 is that it protects you from a lot of hazards. While wearing it, SCP-049's lethal touch cannot kill you, although he can forcefully remove the ring from your finger. It will also protect you from SCP-895 scammer distortions. It will also counter any diseases, if you can call an instant heart attack a disease you would have gotten from reading SCP-1025. Finally, it will also protect you from SCP-1123 and SCP-012. This one is a bit of a weird one, because as a rule, the SCP universe sort of doesn't have a canon. You can pretty much write whatever you want. The reason there is no canon is because the canon would break anytime anyone would write anything, since there is such a big group of independent writers. So the idea of canon contradictions is a bit odd. I'm not sure what this one's about, so sorry. The Box of Horrors is a mod for Containment Breach that adds a bunch of new rooms, items, and SCPs to the game. The SCPs added are SCP-005, 009, 020, 038, 178, 409, 1074, and 1123. Some of these SCPs are either completely new, or SCPs that got scrapped from the original game, or one that even later got added to the base game, that being SCP-1123. Any SCP entry ending in .j is a joke SCP that was just made for a laugh. And there are a few of these SCPs in the game as Easter eggs, those being
SCP-789-J, also known as the Butt Ghost, is an SCP found in the bathrooms in the entrance zone. If you go near a toilet, a voice can be heard saying, "I am the Butt Ghost. I will eat your butt."
SCP-𝘰𝘰𝘮𝘬, also known as the best shit in the world. After smoked, blurs your vision and plays reggae music.
And finally, the anomalous ducks. There are 3 of them, each with a unique effect. The first duck will teleport around when you're not looking at it. The second duck will play his saxophone when not looked at. And the third duck will kinda levitate around after you blink at it. 𝘤𝘩𝘪𝘴 is a Let's Player on YouTube with over 60k subs. I'm assuming he's on this list because he used to make SCP Containment Breach videos. That's about it from what I can tell. 𝘰𝘓𝘓 is another YouTube Let's Player with over 100k subs. I'm again assuming that she is also here because she makes SCP videos, some tip videos, as well as interesting speedruns. SCP-148 is a metallic substance composed of a variety of known and unknown elements. You can find a part of SCP-148 in SCP-𝘧𝘪𝘴's containment chamber. If you put this item inside SCP-914, it will become an ingot. You can then make this ingot run the gauntlet again along with another item like a gas mask. This will then make a unique variant of the gas mask, and this can be done with the hazmat suit as well. Nostalgia items are items that SCP-1162 or the Hole in the Wall can give you randomly. The first item is just a quarter that plays the song Blue Feather when selected in your inventory. The second item is a movie ticket for a movie titled Run. This is a reference to Containment Breach Run, a fan film we'll talk about a bit later. The third item is just a key that does nothing, but the player will think, "Isn't this the key to that old shack? The one where I... No, it can't be." The fourth item is an ID badge that belongs to someone named Benjamin Oliver-Kerr. The player character will think, "Huh, this guy looks like me." The fifth and last item is a piece of paper titled Disciplinary Hearing DH-S-4137-17092. This paper reveals that the player character was a researcher for the Foundation, but did unauthorized research into something called the Spiral Gestalt, or Gestalt. This might be why he ended up becoming D-Class. We'll talk about what the Spiral Gestalt thing is, or most likely is, a bit later. SCP-682 is a large, and I mean very large, reptile that has a hatred for humanity. In Containment Breach you can hear him roaring as ambience, and after you reach Gate B you can actually see his arm/paw trying to hit a helicopter. And from this you can get the idea of his size. So yeah, it's pretty big. SCP Containment Breach Ultimate Edition is a collection of mods that add a lot of stuff to the base game. New items, new rooms, new SCPs, some new mechanics, and some bug fixes. It's sometimes preferred over the base game by people who want more content. I think the mod is very good and I do recommend it, but I think for a first playthrough I'd suggest playing the base game. The End is Nigh is an SCP Containment Breach fan song made by YouTuber 𝘰𝘰𝘮𝘢, sorry for the butchering. It's pretty good and has gained over 3 million views since release. In SCP-012's containment chamber, as well as the storage room, you can find a severed hand. This hand opens the blast door in the large testing area, as well as SCP-079's containment chamber's viewing/monitoring room. If you put the hand through SCP-914, the hand will turn darker. Or maybe change skin color, I'm not quite sure. Regardless, this new hand now opens the blast door next to SCP-049's containment chamber. Fan Breach is another mod for Containment Breach that adds new items and SCPs. Those SCPs being SCP-001, the Sheaf of Papers, SCP-005, SCP-006, SCP-015, SCP-080, SCP-087-B, SCP-173-J, SCP-160, SCP-249, SCP-528, SCP-650, SCP-811, SCP-999, SCP-1062-RU, and SCP-0879. A lot of new friends right there. Other things are new items and rooms and the such. Hey, so a quick editor note from Pounder in the studio. That sounds wrong. So apparently the story of this mod is a bit more complicated, but to sum it down, it was being developed by the Russian SCP Wiki as a mod for Containment Breach, but it then got abandoned and all of its assets kind of spread around. So parts of it are in Project Resurrection, I believe, which is, I think, also now halted. Some went to like weird Russian games that like have one mention on a Russian wiki. It's a weird mess of just a bunch of stuff. So yeah, while the mod still exists, it doesn't have all of this. And if you want all of these SCPs, you kind of have to like pick and choose these random games. It's a very weird story. But yeah, that's like the basis of it. Okay, so this one is gonna get a bit technical, but first of all, the door to Dr. Harp's office is hard-coded and is always 7816. But some other codes are hard-coded too. Kinda. I had my much smarter programmer friend SG look at the code of the game, and this is what they came back with. Maynard's code is a sequence of randomly assigned numbers 0 to 9. Then O5 council equals Maynard's code times 2 modulo 10,000 and plus 1,000 if it's less than 1,000. And same thing for the other office, but with a multiplier of 3. This code was for Ultimate Edition, but we did check the original game source code and it used the same math, except the O5 council room doesn't exist, since that's Ultimate Edition specific. So if you know Maynard's code, theoretically you can reverse engineer the other codes because they use Maynard's code as a base. There is a bug in SCP Containment Breach where sometimes characters, usually SCP-173, can just fall through the floor into the void. Some players have also fallen through the map themselves, but I haven't personally experienced that, so I would assume these issues are nowadays pretty patched. SCP-372 is found in light containment. If you approach his containment chamber, you'll find it open, and if you walk into it, SCP-372 will now begin to stalk you. Whenever you blink or turn around fast, you can sometimes spot him out of the corner of your vision. He is harmless but a bit spooky. Since he's so small and you can see him for such a small time, you don't really get to see what he looks like. Well, this is his model. D9341 is the protagonist we play as. Not much is known about him other than that we've already discussed. His name has been theorized to be Benjamin Oliver due to the ID badge you can receive from SCP-1162. He has been theorized to be a former researcher for the Foundation that got demoted to D-Class. There's one more little fact about him that we haven't covered, but we'll get to that later, I promise. SCP-895 is an oak coffin, and you can find its containment chamber in heavy containment. All SCP-895 really does is mess with the camera feed near his containment chamber, and your night vision goggles if you wear them right next to it. It will make various images appear on the feed, one of them being this smiley face that also appeared in SCP-087-B. SCP-895 can show you other pictures too, but I can't show you most of them because they're pretty gory and I don't think YouTube would like that. For example, one of them is a dead dog. So yeah, no, sorry, go look them up on your own. The download of SCP Containment Breach comes packaged with a map creator for the game where you can make your own custom maps. A pretty cool addition. The Vulcan is an SCP YouTuber with over 1 million subs. He makes videos explaining various SCPs in the universe, and his videos are very good and very detailed in my opinion. The reason he is here though is that he actually voice acts a lot of the characters in Containment Breach, those being SCP-035, SCP-049, and SCP-992. He also voices the player character, and the scientist and janitor who get their necks snapped by SCP-173, and also the MTF unit who kills you if you become an SCP-0492 instance. There are a few SCPs that were planned to be included in the game, but the Regalis eventually cut them. Those are SCP-178, a pair of 3D glasses that would make you see an SCP-178-1 instance that would try to kill you. SCP-650, a black statue with no facial features that would teleport behind you when not looked at. SCP-689, a statue that after you looked at it, you would have to keep looking at it or it would instantly kill you. This was cut because it was obviously a bit too overpowered. And finally, SCP-1074, an oil painting that would force you to look at it and go insane trying to describe how beautiful it was. You'd be stuck looking at it and you'd get a death message that explains that an MTF unit found you staring at the SCP and then they shot you. I'm assuming this is either talking about how some models and textures in the base game were updated with various versions, like the D class for example, or it's talking about various texture mods that try to make the game a little bit better without an engine change. In the game you can find an ID badge belonging to an assistant Emily Rose. Apparently this character first appeared in the NTF mod, which we'll cover right after this, and was then ported over to Containment Breach. Her fate was being captured by 106 and assumably killed. SCP 𝘰𝘩𝘪𝘴 is a mod developed by Third Subdivision Studios. In the game you play as the MTF unit you can see in a Containment Breach, and you are tasked with killing D class and containing SCPs. It's pretty fun and I'd recommend giving it a shot. If you make your way to Dr. Maynard's office, you can find a secret note that just reads, "You made it so easy. Nice work. Foundation." This is a bit of foreshadowing to what Dr. Maynard did. Well, what did he do? We'll cover that a bit later. Not sure what this is about. There are some posters you can find around the facility, usually about safety. Can't really find anything more on this. Some of the SCPs have been given nicknames. Just to give a few examples, SCP-173 is sometimes referred to as Peanut, SCP-096 is referred to as the Shy Guy, and SCP-106 is called Radical Larry. SCP-294 is a vending machine that can give you whatever you want, from Pepsi to nuclear material. Some of the things you can ask it to vend are references to various things. For example, you can ask it to vend Call of Duty, which will give you a cup that tastes like dubstep and your mom. Asking for Half-Life 3 will give you literally nothing. Asking for Pinkie Pie from My Little Pony gives you a drink that makes the player realize they aren't real, going, "What the? Oh my god, so this is me? I don't exist. But you do. Please help me." There are a lot of other ones that references various games. SCP-173 has 3 different models, since as the game got updated so did the model. The first looks like this, the second like this, and the current one looks like this. SCP-055 is an SCP that no one knows what it is. This is because anyone who has seen SCP-055 forgets that they ever interacted with it. In Containment Breach there is an achievement you can get for containing SCP-055. This is a joke, you get the achievement for just beating the game. The idea here is that while playing the game you encounter SCP-055, recontain it, and then you forget you ever did. Dr. George Maynard is a character mentioned a few times throughout Containment Breach, mostly through notes you can find, but also by his office. Maynard was a double agent for the Chaos Insurgency who was tasked with infiltrating the Foundation. He caused the whole breach that the game depicts. He gave full access over the facility's systems to SCP-079, who then released SCP-106. SCP-106 was recontained and business went on as usual, which is where the game starts. As you go to check on SCP-173, SCP-079 releases a ton of SCPs to roam wild and kill staff. Maynard then wrote a note taunting the Foundation before being captured by SCP-106 and getting killed. SCP-513 is a cowbell that when rang by someone, they start to see an SCP-513-1 instance that will begin to stalk the victim. If you fall asleep while being stalked by SCP-513-1, it would assault you and would most likely drive you to suicide. Originally in Containment Breach you could hear SCP-513 being rung over the intercom system. After this you'd begin to see SCP-513-1 around the facility. It would always run away from you after you spot it, it could never actually harm you. But SCP-513 was removed by Regalis. As stated by him, SCP-513 nullifies any chance of the player escaping and surviving if they made it to the ending. It was then later re-added with the ability to destroy SCP-513 if put inside SCP-914, getting rid of SCP-513-1. 𝘰𝘋𝑰 is a YouTube video uploaded by Omniary. It's a meme that goes through the events of Containment Breach in humorous fashion, while Broody Quest by Lemon Demon plays. You don't really find anything for this. I'm assuming it's a bug where rarely a door will just not properly load in. SCP Containment Breach has a console where you can input commands, as most games do. All the usuals are here like God mode, no clip, but if you type in Halloween however, SCP-173's model will change to this. This can also happen if you go through SCP-970 enough times. 682 is an abandoned SCP game where you're tasked with containing SCP-682. I'm not quite sure why it's here, since it has nothing to do with Containment Breach. The best I got is that Regalis once mentioned it in an interview. yeah, that's about it. SCP Containment Breach, the film, is a fan film written and directed by 𝘰𝘬𝘪𝘴 and uploaded to YouTube by Oscar Faven. Sorry for all those butcherings. It depicts 3D class subjects being put inside SCP-173's containment chamber, and one by one they all get their necks snapped as they fail to maintain eye contact with SCP-173. Today, it has gained over 15 million views. The Femur Breaker is a device located in SCP-106's containment chamber. A D-class prisoner is already tied to the device. The Femur Breaker is used to contain SCP-106. You must turn on the device to cause the prisoner extreme pain. This attracts SCP-106 inside the chamber, where you can then lock him in. If you pause the game near SCP-173 or SCP-106, the game will immediately unpause with the message, "Stop hiding." It should be noted that this can only happen once per playthrough. There seems to be a rare bug in the game where some critical rooms fail to spawn. I found this post of someone not having the electrical center spawn. Some of the posts I found just seem to be people being lost, but here you can see the user states the console told him the room does not exist. So yeah, I'm assuming just the game can very rarely generate seeds that are unbeatable. Type weed into the game console and you get 20 instances of SCP-420-J. If you look at SCP-173 and move around him, his head will turn to face you. Kinda. This was a thing in the base game but was removed due to a bug where it caused invisible walls to appear around SCP-173. This feature was fixed and then added to Ultimate Edition though. So this is just talking about how in map generation, the intro section of the game where you wake up and make your way to SCP-173 is just one big room titled 173. SCP-1499 is a gas mask that once you put it on, you get transported to an alternate dimension. In this dimension, you can find SCP-1499-A instances, which are these creatures. These creatures are usually non-hostile unless you get a bit too close to them, but they can get hostiles in other ways too. In this dimension, you can find a church, a castle entrance. I'm pretty sure it's a castle because it seems like there's a king, so I'm just gonna call it a castle. If you step into this castle and hang around for a bit, the SCP-1499 instances will get pissed off and try to kill you. So in the game right now, there are 4 endings, 2 for each gate, Gate A and Gate B, but Gate B was actually planned to have a 3rd ending, which was essentially just getting killed by SCP-173 at Gate B. This ending was never implemented, but audio of it can still be found where MTF operatives find your body.
Sir, there's a Class D outside the elevator to Gate B. Should we send someone in to get him?
He might have some useful information about what's going on in there. I'll call...
Never mind, sir. It looks like 173 already took care of him.
So, Dr. L is an interesting character in Containment Breach. He was a scientist and was involved with the original breach, that breach we discussed earlier briefly, the one that happens right before the game starts. Dr. L was probably attacked by 106 during this breach. In the game, you can find notes left behind by Dr. L that are fairly normal at first. I use normal very loosely, but they start getting crazier as time goes on and also become burnt for some reason, making them really tough to read. He essentially gets really paranoid of 106, thinking 106 is stalking him and is going to kill him at any moment. 173_spec.jpg is this image. Pretty spooky, huh? Well, it's actually just SCP-173's texture file, but in black and white. It's meant to be used when lighting is dark, but here's kind of the weird thing. According to Snow, who I've listed as a source below and who has used the Blitz 3D engine way more than I have, stated that the game can't even use this file properly, and Regalis just made it for no reason, which is kind of weird, but there you go. So sometimes when you click on a new game button, the game will choose a seed with a hard-coded name referencing something, like a character, or it just tells you you're gonna die. Aside from the name, there's nothing special about these seeds. They function just the same as normal seeds. Here's a whole list of them. This one is a bit odd, but I'll try to explain it. Basically, before game version 1.3.7, the game could spawn 7 SCP-966 instances. This was a bit weird because canonically there are only 4 SCP-966 instances. In this update, Regalis even says that it was changed for canon reasons. Now again, I said 7, so where does the 9 come from? So this is just a weird thing the Iceberg creator had, where the game either glitched and spawned more instances than it was supposed to, or he just mistook 7 for 9. You decide. SCP-513 moving in the direction of Gate B is a lie. In the code of SCP-153-1, there is no indication that it should behave this way. Even the Iceberg creator said that it was just a myth. Gate C seems to be some kind of urban legend. I found some videos discussing it, like from the tech realm, which isn't the most credible source of information out there. Anyways, it doesn't exist in the game, but there are mods that add it. So the AI for the MTF unit is interesting in how complex it can get. Now I'm not just gonna stand here and just read code blocks, so I'll summarize some of the more interesting features of their AI. First of all, one of the MTF will be designated as squad leader that the others try to follow. Around the facility, you can find cameras. You'd probably think these serve no purpose, but you'd be mistaken. If the camera sees you, a camera operator will report it back to Ninetale Fox and they'll start coming over to you. If MTF comes across a Tesla gate, they won't just book it like you would, they'll ask Control to disable it. If MTF spots you, they will immediately open fire and try to kill you. Except if they also have eyes on SCP-173. They will then totally ignore you, as you are definitely not the biggest threat to them right now. And if they do spot SCP-173, they will contain him and put him in a box and move him around. They also search rooms at random. They just kind of pick a room like that one and go to it. Now let's say that they pick the SCP-173's containment chamber while moving SCP-173. They will actually recontain him inside his containment chamber. This is a very rare event because there is no specific code telling them to go to the containment chamber after containing SCP-173. It's totally random if they pick that room. They also have special behavior for SCPs 106, 049, 096, 049-2, and 008. If they see 106 or 049, they will just try to book it away from them. If they spot 096, they will look away from him for obvious reasons. When spotting an 008 instance in the medbay, they will shoot him instantly. And their final behavior is shooting a 049-2 instance. But this is a bit special because this can never happen in the normal game. Ninetale Fox will never come across an SCP-049-2 instance. You can only see this behavior by spawning one of them in. So them finding one was probably a removed feature or something. That's about it. They're a bit more complex than they appear. Janitorial work is a mod that makes you play as a janitor during the breach. Kind of a funny concept. Before version 0.9.2, if you contained SCP-106 and went to Gate A to trigger the usual get captured by MTF ending, nothing would happen as the ending wasn't finished yet, so you'd just be soft-locked. Agent Izumi Junko's an interesting case. In Containment Breach, you can find notes left behind talking about an expeditionist being sent into SCP-860-1, that being the door that leads to a forest. In SCP-860-1, you can find notes left behind by Izumi saying the forest seemed infinite but welcoming. There are 3 of these notes, and the last one mentions D9341 by name. What does this mean? Honestly, pretty much no one knows. Remember when we talked about D9341 looking into something called the spiral gestalt? This is where we figure out what that is. In ending A2, the one where you get captured by MTF unit and are brought back to the Foundation starts studying you. They are very confused on how you made it this far against such unbeatable odds and are wondering if they should give you the SCP classification.
Subject demonstrates extraordinary luck and complete mastery of even the most fatal of circumstances and an uncanny ability to predict even the most unpredictable of hazards, almost as if it has performed these impossible tasks several times before. Further testing is required to determine whether the subject should receive SCP classification.
So what is the spiral gestalt? It is your ability to save and load the game. Yes, you saving and loading are canon. Think about it. You are against so many SCPs that the survival of someone normal is literally impossible. It would not happen. D9341 survives because he's done all of this dozens of times. There are a few Easter egg console commands in the game, some we've covered like Halloween and weed, but there are a few others. Typing in pumpkin prints the text, "What pumpkin?" Typing in Sanic outputs the text, "Gotta go fast," and makes you run around at super speed before you die. If you type it in again, the text, "Whoa, slow down," is outputted. Typing in George outputs the text, "George has been expecting you." And finally, typing in kill, well, kills you, but it does give a unique death message. SCP-990 is a humanoid man dressed in a business suit. He only appears to the Foundation staff through dreams. In the game, he appears during loading, where he outputs some unique messages and also talks to you while the game loads and as it has finished loading.
You look afraid. Don't be afraid. This is a dream. The last dream you may ever have.
Containment Breach Run was a short film being made by Jim Gonzalez. He talked to Regalis about the idea, and Regalis seemed to like it. The last update on the film was in 2018, so yeah, maybe it'll come out one day, but honestly, I wouldn't keep your hopes up. Since SCP has so many writers, obviously some of these aren't in English but are sometimes translated. These are usually referred to as other SCP branches around the world. I'm not sure why this is here though, as SCP Containment Breach features none of these, although some mods do add some of them. The arena was a part of SCP-106's pocket dimension that eventually got turned into the trench area. The arena is a large open space with stones hovering over the air. The player will encounter black smoke with SCP-106's eyes. Whenever the player blinks, the smoke will gradually move towards him, making a sound. After a while, SCP-106 will attract the player's eyes. After that, it will be impossible to break eye contact with the entity. This will eventually trigger the player's death. In order to get out, you need to go to any direction as long as you're far away from the smoke, then the player will be again sent to the main room. There are a few unused rooms that can be found in the game files, mostly containment chambers for the scrapped SCPs. The other scrapped or changed rooms are a conference room that hasn't been added to the game, and the medical bay that was changed to include a human infected with SCP-008. SCP-970 is a spatial phenomenon wherein rooms start to loop and they can be walked through infinitely. In the game, you can encounter it in light containment looking like this. There are a few effects that can happen if you go through SCP-970 enough times. Some of these are an item disappearing from the player's inventory, getting randomly injured, blood appearing over the walls, a dead scientist appearing that can also start rotating, a guard appearing who does nothing and will disappear if you continue moving through SCP-970. Those are the more interesting effects of it, but there are a few others. Here's all of them. 𝘭𝘰𝘮 is a sound file that plays whenever SCP-079 closes a door near you. That's about it. In the main menu, sometimes text can be seen flashing for like brief frames. Some of the more interesting ones are, "Don't blink. You want happy endings? Fuck you. Stone does not care. It controls the doors. It has taken over everything." Some kind of gestalt effect due to massive reality damage. I'm not sure what this is about. I checked all of the SCPs in the game and they have entries on the wiki and none of them are decommissioned. So I'm not sure what this is about. The joke SCPs are obviously not canon, but that's about it. Terror Hunt is another mod for Containment Breach that adds SCPs, rooms, items. You know the deal by now. If you run the radio item through SCP-914 on the Very Fine setting, it will turn into a Very Fine radio. This radio seems to be malfunctioning, constantly switching through channels, but this is actually giving out Morse code that can be translated into the code for Dr. Maynard's office. 𝘰𝘰𝘮𝑎 is a popular nursery rhyme of unknown origins. SCP-049 will sometimes start singing it while wandering and looking for you.
Ring-a-ring-a-rosies, a pocket full of posies, a tissue, we all fall down.
While the song's origin is unknown, it has been theorized to be related to the Black Death, although there is no evidence for that. This might explain why SCP-049 is familiar with the tune, as he is a sort of plague doctor. There are two non-unlockable doors from what I know, one of them being the door to Dr. Gears' office. You cannot find the code for this door anywhere, but the game does actually have a sec code for it as ABCD. Obviously, you can't input this code since there is no way to input letters, which is kind of funny. The other is a security door that can be sometimes encountered going from light containment to heavy containment. Behind this door there is nothing, so there's no code for the door. The name Radical Larry comes from this old meme that shows a person called Radical Larry who is described as being able to vibrate through walls and burrowed underground. This is very similar to SCP-106, so people started calling him Radical Larry. There's even a note you can find in the offices written by Dr. Gears, who tells Foundation personnel to stop referring to SCP-106 as Radical Larry. The Radical Larry was then a nickname used for SCP-106 by popular gaming YouTuber Markiplier during his Let's Play of SCP Containment Breach, after reading the previously mentioned note, which increased the name's popularity. SCP-106 is now often referred to as Larry. And this one is a bit weird. The Blue Forest is a name often given to SCP-860-1, but SCP-860-1 didn't exist in version 0.6.5. It was added in version 1.0 as proven by Regalis' GitHub changelog. But a version of some forests exists in the game files, and it looks like this. Just to note, I'm not a modeler and this was my first time using Blender, so take all this with a grain of salt. What it seems to be is a forest with a bunch of trees clipping into each other and a small path. I'm not sure if the clipping is caused from importing Blitz 3D files into Blender, or this is how it's supposed to look, but there you go. That's all I can find aside from a few textures for the forest path. I couldn't find much for this. All of the events that I could find were tied to scrapped SCPs themselves, and we have already covered that, so sorry. SCP-409 is a large quartz crystal that caused anything that touched it to start crystallizing. SCP-409 is a popular SCP added in by mods, but from what I can tell it was never intended for the original game. Regalis even stated that SCP-409, as well as a couple of other SCPs, would be redundant. If you think you can be a bit clever and look at SCP-096's face and then book it to a gate elevator, once the elevator doors have closed, an event will initiate where SCP-096 rips open the elevator doors to kill you. SCP Containment Breach's most recent version is 1.3.11. and was released on August 19, 2018, meaning the game has gotten 0 updates in almost 60 years. This has caused a lot of people to consider the game abandoned. I could find this MTF mod developer's comment on Reddit where 10 months ago, as of writing, he stated that some people are still working on a new version for the game. Honestly, with the Ultimate Edition and the amount of content base SCP Containment Breach has, I don't see it needing a lot of new content anyways aside from bug fixes, but I do understand some of the frustration from the lack of updates. I could find nothing for this, but luckily the Iceberg creator did answer what this was. Apparently it was a bug that caused the intersection room to glitch out. Glitch out how? I don't know. They did provide an image of this, but the link is now dead. I couldn't really dig up any other reports of this. I didn't even see it mentioned on Regalis' GitHub, so I got nothing. Sorry. I think this is sort of a joke about how deadly the design of facility is. For example, with these Tesla gates that will just shock and kill you. Although the reason for these is to stop SCP-106. I'm not sure if there's really more to it, couldn't find much. SCP Containment Breach is speculated to take place at Site-19, although the specific site is never mentioned in the game. I don't think this is talking about Site-19 being in the real world, I think it's more so talking about SCP Containment Breach's version of Site-19 being canon. You already know that the canon is pretty much non-existent, but essentially some people consider the events of SCP Containment Breach to have actually happened in universe, that this massive containment breach happened that the SCP Foundation had to recover from. Ambient7.oggg is an audio file in the game files that sounds like this. According to the Iceberg's creator, there was a myth that this was tied to some random SCP that was added in version 0.5. This is untrue as Regalis' changelog makes no note of this SCP, and I fail to see why he would not mention that. Also, looking at the code, the game loads this file as general ambience anyways, just like every other ambient file, so I doubt there's anything to this. A level 6 keycard does not exist in SCP Containment Breach, but it does exist in SCP Containment Breach Ultimate Edition. All it does is output this text. Does the black moon howl? Yes, no, yes, no? This is a reference to a memetic phrase used in the SCP universe that causes people affected by some sort of memetic or cognitohazard type effect to react to it. The Bell of Entropy is an object in the SCP universe that is in the hands of the Chaos Insurgency. When the bell is rang, it causes various anomalous effects in a wide area. It is theorized that this bell is rang by the Chaos Insurgency in their ending as a tunnel seems to randomly collapse on MTF unit, and they noted it as a possible anomalous event.
I'm not sure what's happening here. We entered the old service tunnel and it sort of closed up on us. Now we're trapped inside. Xanders is dead. The target's been lost. Are you saying that the tunnel collapsed on you? No. It didn't collapse. It seemed like an anomalous event. Come and see for yourself. And send someone to get us out of here.
This is talking about how the updates for the game jump from 0.3.2 to 0.5. This is proven by the fact that Regalis' changelog doesn't talk about these versions at all. It is very weird. 0.5 was a pretty big update, adding alternate endings, but wouldn't it jump to 0.4 instead? Maybe Regalis did make 0.4, then added even more stuff and justified making it 0.5 with the 0.4 version never coming out? Who knows? Also, kinda related, most versions of SCP Containment Breach have been archived and are available to download from the Undertow Games forum, but some versions are not archived in this list and are considered lost. Regalis' changelog does still know what changed in these versions, so you can check out what changed in these lost versions, you just can't play them unfortunately. This is talking about the audio file for SCP 682's roar, which sounds like this. If you check the details for this file, 𝘰𝘰𝘮.ogg, the artist is listed as "Your death is inevitable." Hi. So I figured for the outro I'd come on the mic and, you know, show my ugly face for some reason. So you're just gonna have to deal with that for a while. Anyways, thank you for watching. This video has been a long time coming. I wasn't lying when I said I started this video like a year ago. If I have a screenshot of like when I started the script, I'll show it. But it was like literally a year ago. So yeah, I have really bad work ethic. I'm really sorry. But yeah, if you made it this far, thank you very much for watching. I'd like to throw a few shoutouts to people who helped me during this long process. We have TF2SG, a good friend of mine who helped in researching a lot of the code stuff for the game. So he just went through the code whenever I asked him to. I was like, this is what it means, you code illiterate person. And he also voiced the Butt Ghost segment of the 𝘄𝐿𝐴 section. And then there's another friend of mine, NukaColaCherry over on Twitch, who appeared in the SCP 420-J section of the 𝘄𝐿𝐴. Then we have a SnoeBrawler who helped a lot during my live streams when I was researching this stuff and answered a lot of my questions about the game and its code and how it works or it doesn't work. A lot of that cool stuff, so thank you to him. I couldn't actually really reference him that well because I don't think I saved those live streams. Oops, but I did take down notes of what he said, so it should be all accurate, hopefully. I don't know. If you're watching this, let me know down below, Snow, if I fucked up, my bad. That's about it. I stream sometimes on Twitch if you like to watch me for some reason. I have a Discord server, which is pretty much just a glorified group chat for the boys. But if you'd like to join it and talk to me for some reason, or talk to the friends I mentioned, SG or NukaColaCherry, you're free to join. No worries. And yeah, I guess that's about it. Let's see what I make next. Hopefully it will not take a year, but no promises. No promises. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Sorry it took so long. And see you next time, whatever that may be.